Neptune's cold blue disk hovered beyond the reinforced glass of the bridge. Starfields glinted around it like scattered jewels, serene and deceptive. Captain Ava Holt stood at the heart of her command deck, hands clasped behind her back as her officers prepared for first contact. Even with the subtle hum of power humming through Titan's wrath, an eerie stillness filled the bridge, the kind that settles before a storm. "Scanners online," Ava said, her voice quiet but sharp enough to cut through the tension. "Yes, Captain," replied Commander Vasquez at Tactical. His hands moved with practiced ease across glowing control panels. Long-range arrays show 3 Xyrath scout ships entering Neptune's outer orbit. "No sign they know we're here." Ava's gaze stayed fixed on the readout hovering in front of her. Red indicators blinked like warning lights on a darkened highway. "Keep passive tracking," she ordered. "No active scans until I say." Behind her, the crew exchanged glances. They had drilled this moment endlessly, but knowing and feeling were different. The room was thick with unspoken questions. Would humanity's secret fleet hold up against an empire that had never lost? Vasquez broke the silence. "We can wait forever, Captain, or we can strike before they call home." Ava looked to him. 30 years old, tactical mind sharp as a blade. Young enough to be reckless, experienced enough to hold back. Exactly what she needed. "Patience," she replied. "We wait until all 3 scouts are within range. I want them gone before they can breathe a word." He nodded and went back to his console. The bridge was a maze of glowing readouts and whispering commands as officers fine-tuned trajectories and weapon calibration. From the communications pit came a soft ping. "Captain," called Lieutenant Elena Cho, "Admiral Song is on a secure channel. Patch him through." Ava felt her spine straighten. The Admiral had entrusted her with humanity's most dangerous secret, a fleet built in hidden shipyards on the moons of Neptune and Uranus, unknown to all but a handful of people on Earth. The hologram flickered to life beside her chair, showing the stern face of Admiral Song. Even across light minutes of space, his presence was commanding. "Captain Holt," he began, voice measured. "Command is watching this closely. Xyrath intelligence reports suggest they'll probe Earth defenses any day. This is our moment to take them by surprise." "We're ready, sir," she answered. "Remember," Song continued, "our entire strategy depends on this first engagement. If they send a report back, Earth faces annihilation before we can deploy the full fleet." Ava gave a tight nod. "That report will never leave this system." Song paused, his gaze seeming to pierce the light years between them. "You and your crew have humanity's future in your hands. Make it count." When the channel cut, the silence on the bridge deepened. Ava allowed herself one long breath before straightening. "Vasquez," she said evenly, "status?" "Enemy scouts entering intercept vector," he replied. "We'll be in optimal range in 2 minutes." "Helm," Ava continued without missing a beat, "bring us in close. Keep thrusters at minimal output. Let Neptune's magnetosphere hide our signature." "Yes, Captain," replied the pilot. Time stretched thin as they glided toward their prey. Outside the viewport, the distant scouts glimmered, needle-thin shapes prowling the edge of Earth's system like carrion birds. Unknowing, overconfident. "Crew," Ava called softly across the bridge. "You all know what's at stake. Every one of you trained for this. Trust yourselves. Trust each other. Let's show them what humanity can do." Her words cut through the lingering fear, a steadying hand on every shoulder. The proximity alarm chimed. "Targets entering primary range," Vasquez announced. Ava raised her chin. "Weapons, charge the sublight torpedoes. Fire on my mark." There was a soft hum as power surged through the ship. Titan's wrath was a secret weapon, its armament and armor unmatched, its systems cloaked in prototype tech. If humanity had one shot at surviving first contact, this was it. "Captain," said Vasquez, "ready when you are." Ava paused, eyes fixed on the tactical display. 3 small Xyrath ships glowed in red icons, inching closer. "Close enough." "Fire," she ordered. The bridge lit up with subdued light as a volley of missiles lanced into the dark. The ship's hull vibrated ever so slightly as payload after payload launched into the black, then streaked invisibly toward their targets. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. And then, the screen flashed white as the first scout disintegrated into debris. The second bank of torpedoes found its mark a breath later, cracking the hull of the next alien vessel. Sparks of blue-white energy painted the viewport as the Xyrath ships shattered like brittle glass. "Yes," someone whispered at the back of the bridge. Vasquez's voice was crisp. "2 down." Third scout maneuvering to evade. "Bring us about," Ava snapped. "Pursuit course. Don't let it run." The pilot obeyed instantly, Titan's wrath swinging in a smooth arc. The last enemy ship was fast, but Ava was faster. "Tactical," she said. "Ready," Vasquez replied. "Target engines. Fire." A single burst of coherent light leapt across the void. The Xyrath scout bucked wildly, engines glowing before they sputtered and died. "Direct hit," Vasquez confirmed. "Destroy it," Ava ordered. More missiles shot away like furious wasps. The crippled vessel never had a chance, it vanished in a flash of incandescent light, its debris spinning silently into Neptune's shadow. The bridge was hushed again as the crew took it all in. "Report," she said. "No survivors," Vasquez replied. "No distress signal sent. Clean kill." Ava let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. For a moment, she just listened, the low purr of the ship's systems, the quiet discipline of her crew going about their checks, the knowledge that they had, against all odds, survived their first battle. "Set a course to rendezvous with the main fleet," she finally said. "We've kicked the hornet's nest. Time to prepare for what's coming next." "Yes, Captain," chorused the bridge. As Neptune's blue glow receded behind them, Ava felt a steel resolve settle in her chest. This was only the opening shot. Earth had declared itself in fire and light, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The glow of Neptune slowly disappeared behind Titan's wrath as the vessel powered toward a region of darker, deeper space. The silence that followed their victory was charged with adrenaline and relief, but also awareness that they had only just begun. Captain Ava Holt stood at the tactical table, her hands braced on its edge, watching the holographic readouts as debris from the destroyed scouts spun like tiny dying stars. "Any further Xyrath contacts?" she asked. "None so far," Vasquez replied. "Our passive scanners are clean." His voice was controlled, but his hands were still trembling slightly as he manipulated his console. "Good," Ava said. "That buys us minutes, maybe hours. Let's make them count." She straightened and surveyed the bridge. Faces turned toward her, tired, wary, but determined. Every officer here had trained for this moment, all had left behind homes they might never see again. "Lieutenant Cho," Ava continued. "Patch me into the fleet. I want status updates from all wings." "Already on it," Cho answered, fingers gliding across her controls. Moments later, the bridge speakers crackled. "USS Red Phoenix reporting." "Ready to jump," a voice declared. "USS Eclipse and Valiant standing by," another chimed in. One by one, the secret fleet checked in, cruisers, destroyers, carriers lurking across Neptune's moons like sleeping giants, awaiting the order to strike. "Signal all captains," Ava instructed. "Hold position and stay dark. No active scans." The Xyrath will send reinforcements when their scouts don't report. Until then, we wait and listen. Yes, Captain, Cho said. Vasquez looked up. We're going to draw them here? That's the plan, Ava replied, crossing her arms. Draw them in on our terms. Keep the initiative. He nodded, understanding the gamble they were taking. The minutes stretched, tense and heavy. Suddenly, a chime cut through the quiet. Captain, Vasquez called, his tone sharper. I'm picking up a jump signature. Large scale. It looks like an entire frigate wing. Ava stepped closer to the tactical plot as new red icons appeared, flaring into existence. Xyrath reinforcements, Vasquez confirmed. For ships, maybe more on the way. The weight of their enemy's response became real in that instant. Alert all hands, Ava ordered calmly. Klaxons began their eerie wail as crew braced themselves at their stations. Admiral Song is hailing, Cho announced. Put him through, Ava said. The Admiral's image shimmered into view again, calm and focused despite the storm bearing down. Captain, Song began without preamble. Earth Command estimates this is only the first wave. You must hold them off as long as you can. Draw them in, but don't overextend. Humanity cannot survive a full engagement yet. Understood, Ava replied. We'll bleed them, Admiral. Every second we buy is a second Earth prepares. Song gave a curt nod. Your fleet is concealed and our tech is untested in combat. Trust your crew, Captain. Song out. The image vanished. Ava felt the bridge's attention settle back on her. You heard him, she told them. We hold them here. Prepare the cloaks and run cold, minimal power. Let them come close before we strike. Vasquez was already keying commands into the console. Cloaks engaging. Emissions dropping to minimal. Hull temp matched to background. Titan's wrath faded into the starfield as its systems dimmed and the crew went about their tense wait. And then they came. Four angular Xyrath warships glided into view on the main screen, long and predatory, shimmering like knives. The first hints of alien broadcasts filtered through passive sensors, grading commands, tight formations. Range, Ava asked. Closing at 25,000 clicks, Vasquez answered. Ava's heart thudded, but she kept her voice even. Let them come. Hold fire until they're committed. The bridge became a world of hushed breaths and focused hands. Every face was turned toward the tactical screen as the alien ships drifted closer, their metallic hulls reflecting Neptune's distant light. 15,000, Vasquez murmured. Steady, Ava replied. 10,000. Steady. Suddenly, one of the Xyrath frigates broke formation, heading directly toward Titan's wrath as though sensing their presence. Possible scan lock, Vasquez warned. Ava felt her mouth dry. Weapons, she ordered, her voice like iron. Power up railguns and torpedoes. Target lead frigate's engines. Prepare to decloak on my mark. The bridge held its breath. 5,000, Vasquez hissed. Mark, Ava snapped. Titan's wrath erupted into action. Cloaks fell away in a shimmer of light, power flooding into the weapon arrays. The railguns fired with a flash that lit the bridge windows, followed by a swarm of seeker torpedoes streaking toward their prey. The closest Xyrath frigate was hit before its sensors even registered Titan's wrath's presence. Railgun slugs punched clean through its shields, disabling engines in a spray of blue fire. Torpedoes followed a heartbeat later, ripping through its hull and breaking the ship into jagged halves. First target destroyed, Vasquez announced. Enemy returning fire, someone called. The other frigates surged toward them, spewing a rain of energy blasts. The Wrath bucked as a bolt glanced off its reinforced bow. Sparks cascaded across the bridge as a minor conduit blew, and damage teams rushed to contain it. "Shields holding," Vasquez assured. "We have their attention." "Good," Ava replied, gripping her chair. "Bring us around. Don't give them a stable target. Divert power to maneuvering thrusters." The Wrath spun on its axis like a dancer, agile despite its size. Ava kept the pressure on. "Second frigate in our sights," Vasquez called. "Fire all batteries," Ava commanded. Lances of light shot out, tearing into their enemy. Another frigate vented plasma as its hull cracked. The third and fourth pulled back, engines glowing bright as they attempted to regroup. "Captain," Cho warned. "Long-range scans show larger contacts approaching. Probably cruisers." "Time's up." Ava acknowledged with a sharp nod. "Jump drives?" "Spooling now," Vasquez said. "Plot a course to rally with the fleet," Ava instructed. "We've sent our message. Let's not wait for the reply." The raft jolted as jump engines powered up. Outside the view screen, the remaining Xyrath frigates fired one last futile volley into the dark. "Jumping in 3, 2, 1, Vasquez counted. And then the stars blurred into streaks of light as Titan's Wrath leapt into the safety of hyperspace. Ava finally allowed herself a long breath, leaning back in her chair as the bridge crew began damage assessments. First blood had been drawn, and humanity had proven it wasn't going down without a fight. The hum of jump engines faded into a hushed stillness as Titan's Wrath emerged into deep space near a crescent-shaped cluster of icy moons. Dim light glinted off frozen surfaces beyond the viewports. Around them, humanity's secret fleet was assembling in wary silence, dozens of hulls arrayed like a ghostly armada, barely visible against the starry backdrop. Captain Ava Holt stood before the tactical display as green icons bloomed across its surface. Cruisers, destroyers, frigates, all under her command for this decisive stand. Every crew had heard the news of their first victory, and a tense undercurrent of hope ran through them. "Admiral Song is unsecure," Cho called from her station. "Put him up," Ava replied. The familiar face appeared, bearing that same steely composure. "You pulled it off," Song said simply. "First blood," Ava answered. "But their reinforcements are already on the way. We can't hide forever." He nodded. "That was always part of the plan. Our analysts believe they'll commit a full armada once they sense real resistance. That's what we want, draw them in, then hit them with everything we have." Ava felt a ripple of anticipation across the bridge. Every soldier present understood the stakes. "We'll hold this sector," Ava told him. "Keep the fleet tight and ready." "Good," Song replied. "Earth's orbital defense grid is primed. Time is the one thing we need most. Give me every second you can." The image winked out. Vasquez moved to Ava's side. "Captain, Xyrath long-range signatures are multiplying. Estimated contact in 15 minutes. Ava nodded, hands clasping behind her back as she studied the tactical map. "Have all wings deploy in defensive formations. Cruisers in front, destroyers flank. Prepare our carriers to support with fighters." "Yes, ma'am," Vasquez acknowledged, barking orders into the comms. Ava allowed herself one quiet breath. This was humanity's first true trial in interstellar war. They had spent decades preparing for this. Would it be enough? Time sped up as the fleet responded to her commands. Engines glowed. Weapons powered. All that remained was the waiting. And then, as predicted, the Xyrath appeared. Warp storms of light shattered the black as monstrous vessels translated into real space. They kept coming, hulking battleships with jagged hulls, arrow-shaped destroyers flanking their formations like hounds. Sensors lit up with hundreds of contacts. "Enemy fleet in sight," Vasquez announced, voice tense. Ava's gaze tracked their movements. "They're testing our perimeter," she murmured. "Standard aggressive probe," Vasquez agreed. "But they'll strike as one once they feel out our position." "Let them," Ava replied. "We'll hit first." "Orders, Captain." "Launch fighters," she instructed. "And signal all destroyers, prepare torpedoes." The tactical hologram burst with activity as squadrons of human craft streamed into the dark, blue engines trailing like sparks. Among the Xyrath, the enemy commander took note, a ripple of confusion as they recalculated their plan. "Enemy frigates closing," Vasquez warned. "Mark targets," Ava said. "Weapons free." The order carried across the fleet. In an instant, the darkness ignited with streaking projectiles and flaring energy beams. Fighters zipped between Xyrath hulls like angry wasps, harrying their gunners. One Xyrath frigate, caught flat-footed, cracked open under a volley of railgun fire and spun away vending gas. "First kill," someone on the bridge whispered. Ava kept her focus. "Keep pressing. Let them know we mean this fight." "More contacts," Vasquez called. "Cruiser class entering range." Ava's hands clenched. That was the main threat. "Prioritize cruisers," she ordered. "And have our frigates draw them into the kill zone." "Executing," Vasquez replied. The fleet moved like a choreographed dance, Earth's ships feigning retreat before swinging around with torpedo barges that sent shockwaves across the void. Xyrath captains reeled under the unfamiliar tactics, their centuries of dominance failing them against humanity's raw ingenuity. Still, their numbers pressed in. The first of Earth's cruisers took a glancing hit that knocked its shields into critical. Another salvo followed, an alarm shrieked as its bow erupted into fire. Ava's jaw tightened. "Damage control teams to Deck 6. Pull Eclipse back behind our formation." "Yes, Captain," replied the communications officer. Suddenly a heavier tremor ran through the bridge. They'd been struck. Lights dimmed and backup systems whirred into life. "Direct hit to starboard," Vasquez barked. "Hull breach contained. Shields at 40%. Ava refused to blink. "Return fire," she ordered. "Keep them honest." Titan's wrath responded with every weapon they had. Lances of plasma and rail slugs stitched across the enemy formation. Xyrath ships scattered, some flaming, others evasive. And then came the transmission they had all anticipated. "Admiral Yulkira," Cho whispered as the signal appeared. On screen, Ava replied. A face filled the display, a Xyrath admiral, gaze like polished obsidian, voice rich with menace. "Humans," he intoned, "you dare challenge the Dominion? Surrender this system and we may yet show mercy." Ava leaned forward. "You don't understand humanity," she answered evenly. "We don't yield." His lips curled in something like a snarl. "Then you will perish." The screen blinked dark. Ava exhaled slowly. "Fleet," she spoke into the all-channel. "This is it. Hold formation. Show them what Earth is made of." Cheers and confirmations rippled back. "Xyrath are pushing hard," Vasquez reported. "Heavy cruisers bearing down." Ava nodded, eyes narrowing. "Bring up our reserve destroyer wing. Have them flank and strike their rearmost vessels." "Yes, Captain." A moment later, the reserve wing sprang into action, slipping into position like knives in the dark. The first Xyrath cruiser they hit never saw it coming. It detonated in a brilliant orange burst, hurling its escorts into chaos. That was the signal humanity had been waiting for. "All batteries," Ava ordered, "fire everything you have." The fleet answered as one. A devastating rain of torpedoes, railguns, and beam fire surged toward the enemy like a tidal wave. Xyrath ships broke formation, burning, spinning, trying to regroup under the onslaught. Amid the chaos, Titan's wrath held the center, battered but unyielding. And slowly, surely, humanity began to tip the scales. "Captain," Vasquez breathed, astonished, "they're breaking." Ava felt relief surge through her chest. "Keep pushing," she said. "Let's make sure they never forget what they found here." And as the fleet chased the battered remnants of an empire back into the dark, one thought ran through her mind: Earth had stood its ground, and survived. The aftermath of the battle still shimmered across the tactical screens: debris trails, fading energy blooms, empty pockets of dead Xyrath vessels drifting into deep space. On Titan's Wrath Bridge, Captain Ava Holt listened to the controlled hum of her ship's damaged but determined systems. Officers bustled between consoles, their faces drawn but alive with relief. They had survived the onslaught. Barely. "Damage report," Ava ordered. Vasquez glanced at his console. "Hull breaches sealed. Shields recharging. Starboard batteries need repair. Minor casualties across the fleet. Nothing we can't recover from." Ava nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead. They'd bloodied the Xyrath nose, yet this was only the prelude. "Get me Commander Chen," she said. A moment later, a tired voice answered on the comm. "Here." "Commander," Ava began, "status on the long-range probes we sent toward the inner system?" "2 of them made it through," Chen replied. "We picked up multiple Xyrath capital signatures near Neptune's moons. They're massing for a counterattack. Big one." Ava felt a chill in her gut. Of course they'd respond with force. The scouts had failed. The vanguard had shattered. Now they would send their heavy hitters. "How long?" she asked. "Estimating 4 hours until they jump in," Chen answered. "Maybe less if they bypass standard fleet muster protocols." Vasquez cut in, voice tense. "That doesn't give us much time to repair and reposition, Captain. If they hit us before we're ready." "I know," Ava replied. For a heartbeat, she let her gaze drift across the bridge. Every crew member was listening, even as they worked. They knew what was coming too. "Then we need a plan," Ava decided aloud. Vasquez straightened. "Your orders?" "Reroute all repair crews to critical systems. Get every torpedo tube reloaded and every gunner at their post," she instructed. "And find me an opening, a way to slow them before they hit our fleet. Something they won't see coming." He nodded and moved off. Ava took a breath. Neptune's dark silhouette glowed beyond the viewports. Somewhere out there was a tide of enemy warships preparing to jump in. Humanity's secret fleet could not face them in a fair fight. But who said anything about fair? "Cho," Ava called, "pull up Neptune's moons. Highlight any bodies with significant ice or debris content." "Yes, Captain." The display shimmered, white points marking rocky, frozen worlds orbiting in Neptune's grip. Tiny specks in the grand scale of things, but maybe just big enough to matter. "Vasquez," she said, turning back. "Do we still have those seismic warheads in inventory?" He paused. "We do. 12. Intended for breaching Xyrath hulls." "Better," Ava replied, feeling the first stirrings of a bold plan. "Let's rig them for something else." His brow furrowed, then smoothed as he realized. "You want to rig one of the moons?" "Exactly." A ripple of interest passed across the bridge. Vasquez thought it through quickly. That could work. Blast the ice and debris into their jump corridor. Force them to come in slow and careful, or jump straight into a wall of fragments. Ava allowed herself a fleeting smile. That's the idea. Cho was already calculating. Triton's mass and composition would give us the most shrapnel. I can plot a trajectory for the warheads. "Do it," Ava ordered. Minutes passed like heartbeats. The crew bent to their tasks, engineering prepped explosives, pilots plotted intercept vectors, and sensor officers recalibrated scopes. "Captain," Vasquez called. "Seismic warheads loaded onto long-range torpedoes. Ready for launch." "Fire," Ava said. Through the view screen, slender shapes shot into the darkness, vanishing toward Triton in eerie silence. And then they waited. Each second was tense as a drawn bowstring. Neptune glimmered while the fleet held its breath. "Detonation in 20 seconds, Cho announced. Ava found herself gripping the arm of her chair. The countdown ran. And then Neptune's moon burst into a shimmering corona as explosives cracked its crust, ice and debris surging outward like a blooming nebula. Vasquez whooped. "Clean hit." Target disrupted, debris field expanding into their jump corridor. Ava exhaled slowly. "That'll buy us some time. Prepare to reposition the fleet behind Neptune's magnetosphere. Let them chase shadows while we regroup." "Yes, Captain," Vasquez said, already turning to execute. The bridge shifted into action as they prepared to disappear into Neptune's protective storm, and for a moment Ava allowed herself to believe they might live to fight another day. Then the comm chimed. "Captain," Cho said, voice tight. "Incoming hail, encrypted Dominion frequency. Originating from Admiral Yulkira." Ava felt a chill despite the heated atmosphere on the bridge. "Put him up," she ordered. The main screen shimmered to reveal a sharp-featured alien with obsidian eyes and a fine cloak draped over ornate armor. Even across light years, his presence was arresting, regal, dangerous. "Captain Holt," Yulkira began, voice smooth as glass. "Your clever tricks will not suffice. My fleet is countless. You will see the folly of resistance." Ava kept her chin level. "Earth will not bow to you, Admiral," she replied calmly. "We'd rather burn." His gaze narrowed, and for an instant, she thought she saw something unfamiliar there, not quite respect, but acknowledgement. "You fight well for primitives," he said at last. "But I will show you the power of my dominion. Prepare yourselves." The screen blanked. Ava felt the tension snap back into place as eyes turned toward her. "Let him come," she told them quietly. "And make sure we're ready to greet him properly." "Yes, Captain," Vasquez answered, voice steady. She rose, hands clasped behind her back as she stared at the shrinking glow of shattered Triton. This was only the beginning. The Xyrath weren't finished, and neither was humanity. And as Neptune's eerie light played across the bridge and her battered crew dug in for the next round, Ava felt a surge of iron resolve. They had survived one strike. More were coming. And they would answer each with all the fire they could muster.